Welcome to Locked and Loaded Sports. It's time to lock in, load up, and win big. If you're serious about sports and love cashing in on solid picks, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's get to work. In this video, we will discuss Week 13 NFL picks for every game on the Sunday slate, using a blend of historical data, advanced sports analytics, and real-world sentiment to deliver sharp and sometimes contrarian betting picks. Our first game to discuss takes us to the Cleveland Dog Pound, where the San Francisco 49ers traveled to take on the Browns. The 49ers secured a Week 12 victory against the Panthers with a score of 20-9, but the game was marred by an uncharacteristic struggle from quarterback Brock Purdy, who threw 3 first-half interceptions. Although All-Pro Christian McCaffrey was able to dominate on the ground and lead the offense to a win, relying heavily on the run against an elite defensive front presents a significant risk in the upcoming week. The key injuries reported for San Francisco include linebacker Tatum Bethune being ruled out with an ankle injury, and defensive lineman Robert Beal Jr. also missed the game due to a concussion. Despite these minor injury concerns, the 49ers possess a strong road track record, as they are 5-2 straight up and 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 games played away from home. However, their historical betting data against Cleveland is less favorable, with the 49ers being only 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 matchups with the Browns. The Cleveland Browns earned a hard-fought road victory against the Raiders with a final score of 24-10, largely due to a truly dominant defensive performance. Their defense, anchored by defensive end Myles Garrett, posted an incredible 10 total sacks and demonstrated an ability to stifle any opposing offense. Rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders stepped in for the injured Dillon Gabriel to secure the win in his first career start, executing a controlled game plan that leaned on the team's defensive superiority. The most notable injuries for the Browns include quarterback Dillon Gabriel, who was out while in concussion protocol, and key defensive players like defensive end Alex Wright, who was out with a quad injury. But despite these absences, the team's defensive core remains elite. Cleveland boasts a strong home advantage for bettors, going 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games played at home, and the Browns have historically played the 49ers tough, winning their last 2 head-to-head meetings. The historical success adds a strong non-statistical narrative favoring the home team. Given the expectation for a low-scoring grinder of a game, which is supported by the head-to-head trend, we are getting locked and loaded with the Browns to cover. Friendly reminder to hit that like button. We appreciate you. And for our next matchup to discuss, we have a Week 13 divisional battle in Nashville, Tennessee. For our pivotal AFC South showdown featuring the first-place Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to take on the struggling Tennessee Titans. Can the Jaguars overcome their recent inconsistency and numerous injuries to cover a spread of more than a touchdown? Or will the proud Titans harness their historical home dominance to keep this game tight? Let's analyze the key factors. The Jaguars entered Week 12 and managed a close overtime win against the Arizona Cardinals, but the victory was marred by an alarming performance from quarterback Trevor Lawrence, who committed a season-high 4 turnovers, including 3 interceptions. While the defense stepped up to bail the team out, that kind of turnover margin is unsustainable, especially against a divisional rival. Furthermore, Jacksonville's injury report is growing, with key offensive lineman Anton Harrison and wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. both ruled out for Week 12, leaving their offense significantly depleted. Their betting trends show an inconsistent pattern against the spread in recent weeks, and historically, the Jaguars are a disappointing 2-9 straight up in their last 11 road games played against the Titans. If the Jaguars want to cover this large spread, Trevor Lawrence must secure the football, and the defense will have to overcome the loss of players like Travon Walker to shut down the Titans' running game. The Tennessee Titans are desperate for a win after dropping their Week 12 matchup against the Seattle Seahawks, adding to a 5-game straight-up losing streak. Despite the poor overall record and recent form, the Titans have a profound historical advantage when facing Jacksonville at home. The betting data clearly shows that Tennessee is 9-2 straight up in its last 11 games when playing the Jaguars at home, and they are also 6-3 against the spread in those same matchups. Although the Titans are dealing with injury concerns for star defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons, the presence of the divisional rivalry itself often seems to elevate the home team's performance. This is a classic divisional trap game where you must decide between current form and historical rivalry dominance. The Titans always seem to play their best football when the Jaguars come to town, regardless of their season record. We are getting locked and loaded with the Titans to cover. If you're already subscribed, thank you. If not, please smash that button. Thanks again. Our next game is another divisional game to preview. And we are headed to Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis for a massive AFC South clash featuring the Houston Texans visiting the home-standing Indianapolis Colts. Can the Colts bounce back from a heartbreaking overtime loss and cover the key number? Or will the red-hot Texans defense continue to carry their team to victory? Let's break down the factors. The Colts suffered a tough overtime defeat to the Chiefs in Week 12, where they lost a significant fourth-quarter lead. Their rushing offense, which has been elite all season, was stifled in the second half, leading to their late-game offensive struggles. While quarterback Daniel Jones continues to play through a fibula injury scare, the bigger issue is the massive hole in their defensive line left by star defensive tackle DeForest Buckner. Buckner, a linchpin of their run defense, is on injured reserve and will not be eligible to return until Week 15. The good news for Indianapolis is their impressive home track record, as they are a strong 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 home games and 5-0 straight up in their last 5 home contests. Furthermore, the Colts have historically dominated the Texans at home, holding a 17-6 straight-up record against Houston and Indianapolis. The Texans arrive on a high note after an impressive Thursday Night Football victory over the Buffalo Bills, pushing their record to 6-5. The story for Houston is entirely about their defense, which generated an overwhelming 8 sacks, including 2 1/2 from Will Anderson Jr. and 2 from Danielle Hunter. The defense is playing at an elite level and has carried the team to 3 straight wins under backup quarterback Davis Mills. Mills has managed the offense effectively, limiting turnovers, but the offense will need more punch if their starting quarterback C.J. Stroud is still stuck in concussion protocol. Stroud's status remains a major question mark. Historically, the Texans have found a way to keep things close in this rivalry in recent years, winning 4 of the last 5 head-to-head meetings straight up. This is a quintessential divisional matchup with the spread landing on a key number. The Colts have a strong home field edge and the better overall record, but the absence of DeForest Buckner is devastating against the defensive front that thrives on pressure. The Texans' defense, fresh off a mini bye week, is perfectly positioned to exploit the Colts' weaknesses and force quarterback Daniel Jones into uncomfortable situations, especially if he is still dealing with the fibula issue. We are getting locked and loaded with the Texans to cover. The next NFL matchup to break down is a critical interconference matchup as the New Orleans Saints travel to Hard Rock Stadium to face the Miami Dolphins. This game is defined by contrasting narratives. The struggling Saints are dealing with severe roster depletion and a string of losses, while the rested Dolphins aim to solidify their standing in the AFC playoff race. We analyze the recent performance, trends, and the influence of the current point spread to determine the projected winner of this Sunday contest. The New Orleans Saints enter this contest carrying the weight of a disappointing 2-9 record, the result of a season plagued by offensive inconsistency and mounting injuries. Their Week 12 loss to the Atlanta Falcons was compounded by the devastating news that star running back Alvin Kamara suffered an MCL sprain and is expected to be ruled out for this game. Without their primary playmaker, the already bottom-tier Saints offense will be severely handicapped, forced to rely on unproven backups and a passing game that has struggled to find any rhythm. Betting trends illustrate the team's difficulties, as New Orleans is just 2-13 straight up in its last 15 games and a miserable 1-6 straight up in its last 7 road contests. With the Saints' defense constantly being put in difficult positions, the team faces an enormous challenge against a well-rested opponent. The Miami Dolphins come into Week 13 fresh off their Week 12 bye, having secured a tough 16-13 overtime victory against the Commanders in Madrid in their last outing. This rest period is a significant advantage, allowing the Dolphins' offensive weapons, including running back Devon Achane, to be at peak health. Furthermore, the Dolphins anticipate the return of tight end Darren Waller, whose practice window has opened, providing a much-needed boost in the red zone. Historically, Miami is a strong favorite at home, evidenced by their 7 wins in their last 10 games at Hard Rock Stadium and their 4-1 record against the spread in their last 5 home contests. The Dolphins' ability to win a low-scoring game in Week 11 shows a new resilience that bodes well for a convincing home victory against the shorthanded Saints squad. Considering the New Orleans Saints' crippling injuries, specifically the absence of their key offensive weapon in Alvin Kamara and their overall struggles to score points, all indicators point to a decisive victory for the home team. The Miami Dolphins are well-rested and prepared to exploit the Saints' offensive struggles and porous rushing defense. We are getting locked and loaded with the Dolphins to cover. Do you agree? Leave your favorite Week 13 picks in the comments. We now shift our focus to MetLife Stadium, where the New York Jets host the Atlanta Falcons. Both teams enter this contest having recently covered the spread in Week 12, a strong indicator of their resilience despite overall poor records. The Falcons are favored to win, suggesting the odds makers believe the Falcons are slightly superior. We utilize the team's recent performances and trends to determine which team is most likely to cover this narrow margin. The Atlanta Falcons secured a convincing 24-10 road victory over the Saints in Week 12, ending a long losing skid and keeping their divisional hopes alive. Quarterback Kirk Cousins played an efficient game, throwing 2 touchdowns and a strong run game with Bijan Robinson successfully managing the clock. The key for Atlanta is their ability to run the ball effectively against the New York Jets defense that has allowed the most rushing yards per game in the entire National Football League. while the Falcons are managing significant injuries, including the likely absence of star wide receiver Drake London due to a PCL sprain. The success of their ground game and the steady play of Cousins gives them a stable offensive floor. The historical data also favors Atlanta, as they are 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 matchups against the New York Jets. The New York Jets come into this contest after a tough 23-10 loss to the Baltimore Ravens, though they did cover the sizable underdog spread in that contest. The Jets continue to be severely handicapped by trading away star players before the deadline and injuries, most notably the loss of star wide receiver Garrett Wilson, who has been placed on injured reserve and is not available for this game. After quarterback Tyrod Taylor is starting and brings valuable experience, but he is working with a depleted receiving corps, forcing the team to rely heavily on a run game that Baltimore was able to shut down. The Jets are 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 games at home against the Falcons, and their inability to stop the run will be severely tested by Robinson and the Atlanta offense. For the Jets to cover the 2.5-point spread, their defense must force turnovers and their offense must score more than the 10 to 14 points they have been averaging over their current losing streak. This contest features 2 desperate teams, but the deciding factor is the ability of the Atlanta Falcons to exploit the New York Jets' biggest defensive weakness. The Jets' inability to stop the run, which ranks last in the league, lines up directly with the Falcons' strength on offense, even without their top wide receiver. The reliable play of Kirk Cousins combined with the power running of Bijan Robinson should allow Atlanta to control the clock and score just enough points to win by a field goal or more. The absence of the Jets' premier offensive weapon, Garrett Wilson, makes it exceedingly difficult for New York to keep pace, even on their home field. With this in mind, we are getting locked and loaded with the Falcons to cover. Our Week 13 continues at Raymond James Stadium, where the Arizona Cardinals will face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a critical interconference showdown. The betting line for this game is set with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as small favorites, indicating a tight contest. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers enter this game reeling from a significant 27-point loss to the Los Angeles Rams, their 3rd consecutive defeat, which has now put their 6-5 record at risk. The most crucial factor for Tampa Bay is the uncertain health of quarterback Baker Mayfield, who sustained a left shoulder injury and did not return to the Week 12 game. If Mayfield is unable to play, veteran Teddy Bridgewater will take over, which would significantly dampen the team's offensive efficiency. Tampa Bay's betting trends are concerning, as the team is just 1-5 against the spread in its last 6 home games and has failed to cover the spread in its last 5 games overall. Furthermore, the Buccaneers are 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 matchups, specifically against the Arizona Cardinals, a historical trend that cannot be ignored. The Arizona Cardinals are coming off a tough overtime loss to the Jaguars, but showed significant resilience, forcing 4 turnovers and getting a quality performance from quarterback Jacoby Brissett. Despite a poor overall record, the Cardinals have been excellent against the spread, especially when playing on the road. Arizona has covered the spread in 5 of its last 6 road games, demonstrating an ability to compete regardless of the venue. The head-to-head historical data strongly favors the Cardinals, who are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games against the Buccaneers, and 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 games when visiting Tampa Bay. Their power stats show they are surprisingly competitive, boasting a better yards per pass number on offense than their opponent's defense allows on the road. This matchup is a clash of recent form versus historical trends and crucial injury news. While Tampa Bay is the superior team on paper, the potential loss of quarterback Baker Mayfield significantly neutralizes their home field advantage and overall scoring ability. Given Tampa Bay's recent struggles at home and their alarming record against the spread when facing Arizona, we are getting locked and loaded with the Cardinals to cover. Just wanted to point out this video is free, and so is the like button. Thanks so much. Our next game to analyze is a compelling interconference matchup as the league-leading Los Angeles Rams travel to Bank of America Stadium to take on the Carolina Panthers. The betting line for this game is heavily weighted, with the Rams as large favorites. The Los Angeles Rams arrive in Carolina on an absolute tear, having won 6 consecutive games, including a dominant 34-7 victory over the Buccaneers in Week 12. The Rams' success is driven by an elite defense that currently ranks first in the league in scoring defense, allowing only 16.3 points per game. Quarterback Matthew Stafford is playing at an extremely high level, leading an offense that averages over 27 points per contest. The Rams are not only winning games, but consistently covering large spreads, going 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games overall. Furthermore, they have a phenomenal track record on the road, where they have covered the spread in 10 of their last 11 games. The Carolina Panthers faced the difficult task of slowing down the Rams following a tough Monday night loss to the San Francisco 49ers, a game where their defense played well, but was hung out to dry by an anemic offense. The team is now facing a severe injury crisis with key defensive starters like cornerback J.C. Horn now in concussion protocol and backup cornerback Corey Thornton nursing an ankle injury. The offense remains a significant concern, struggling to score points and showing an alarming lack of commitment to the run game. While the Panthers have a strong historical record of covering the spread at home against the Rams, going 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 home meetings. This contest is a prime example of current team strength overwhelming historical trends. While the Panthers have traditionally been a tough out for the Rams at home, the large spread is justified by the vast performance disparity between the two teams this season. The Los Angeles Rams' top-ranked scoring defense is perfectly positioned to stifle the Panthers' already struggling offense, especially now that Carolina's secondary is severely compromised by injury. The Rams possess the elite combination of a high-powered offense and a shutdown defense, and they are masters of covering large spreads on the road. Expect the Rams to establish a commanding early lead that the injury-ravaged Panthers cannot overcome. We are getting locked and loaded with the Rams to cover. Our next Week 13 game to preview takes us to Lumen Field, where the Seattle Seahawks host the Minnesota Vikings. The betting line is currently set with the Seahawks heavily favored, reflecting the Seahawks' impressive record and the Vikings' recent struggles and injury woes. We will analyze the team's contrasting performances, significant injuries, and relevant betting trends to predict which side will successfully cover that spread. The Seattle Seahawks enter this contest on a major high, having won 4 of their last 5 games, including a strong road victory over the Titans, improving their record to 8-3. Quarterback Sam Darnold is efficiently leading a powerful offense that ranks 3rd in the league in scoring, averaging nearly 30 points per game, and is supported by a strong defense that ranks 7th in scoring defense. The Seahawks are solid at covering the spread, holding an excellent 8-3 record against the spread this season. When considering their dominance at home, they have covered the spread in 5 of their last 6 games at Lumen Field against the Vikings, suggesting the noise and atmosphere often provide a significant competitive advantage. The Minnesota Vikings are struggling significantly, having lost 3 straight games, including a dismal 23-6 performance against the Packers. The team is in crisis mode, compounded by severe injuries to their offensive line with Christian Darrisaw and Donovan Jackson both leaving the last game. Most critically, rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy is now in concussion protocol, making his availability for this game highly doubtful. If McCarthy cannot play, a backup quarterback will face one of the NFL's best defenses. The Vikings have a poor betting record recently, going 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games overall. This matchup is defined by the stark difference in team health and performance trajectory. The Seattle Seahawks are firing on all cylinders, boasting an elite scoring offense and a strong defense at home. Conversely, the Minnesota Vikings are severely compromised, particularly on offense, with their starting quarterback likely out and their offensive line fractured. The Seahawks' defense will be relentless, and the Vikings' depleted offense is unlikely to generate enough points to keep the game within the margin. We're getting locked and loaded with the Seahawks to cover. If you're on Instagram, check us out. There's a link in the description. This next matchup is a critical AFC showdown with playoff implications, as the Buffalo Bills travel to Acrisure Stadium to face the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Buffalo Bills enter this game following a shocking road loss to the Texans, where their offensive line allowed a staggering 8 sacks on quarterback Josh Allen. While Allen is expected to play, the offensive line is facing serious injuries, including the potential absence of right tackle Spencer Brown. Additionally, star linebacker Terrell Bernard is now week to week with an elbow injury, creating instability on the defensive side. The Bills' power stats show a strong offense, but their recent road performances are concerning. They are just 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 games on the road. The trend is even worse in Pittsburgh, where they are a dismal 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 road games against the Steelers. Given the offensive line woes and defensive injuries, covering any spread on the road seems like it could be a challenge for the Bills. The Pittsburgh Steelers come into this game following a close road loss to the Bears, continuing their trend of playing tight contests. The Steelers' biggest concern is the health of their quarterback room, with starter Aaron Rodgers' status still uncertain due to a left wrist injury, meaning Mason Rudolph may start again. Despite the quarterback uncertainty, the Steelers have historically been phenomenal at home against the Bills, boasting a remarkable 6-1 straight up and against the spread record in their last 7 home meetings. The Steelers' defense is formidable at home, and they excel at limiting opponents' total yardage. Their defensive strength, combined with the Bills' current offensive line catastrophe, gives Pittsburgh a legitimate chance to keep this game within a field goal or win outright. The trends heavily favor the Steelers to cover this spread in front of their home crowd. This contest is a classic matchup where a superior team, the Bills, faces overwhelming negative trends and major injury concerns on the road against a historically tough home underdog, the Steelers. The Buffalo Bills' critical injuries on the offensive line directly align with the Steelers' defensive philosophy of constant pressure, which will force turnovers and likely restrict the Bills' high-powered offense. The historical betting trends are too strong to ignore as Pittsburgh consistently performs well against the Bills at home. We are getting locked and loaded with the Steelers to cover. Our next game to discuss is a divisional clash in that pits the struggling Las Vegas Raiders against the well-rested Los Angeles Chargers in Inglewood, California. The Las Vegas Raiders entered this contest in a free fall, having lost 5 consecutive games straight up. Their last outing against the Cleveland Browns exposed a catastrophic failure in their protection unit, as their quarterback was sacked an alarming 10 times. A team that is spiraling, struggling to even maintain possession, and scoring a mere 15 points per game, faces a nearly insurmountable obstacle in trying to contain a high-caliber opponent. The Raiders' historical record against the spread when visiting the Chargers is also remarkably poor, reinforcing the current concerns. On the other side, the Los Angeles Chargers are returning from a much-needed bye week, giving them ample time to rest and refocus after a disappointing performance in Week 11. Historically, the Chargers have dominated this particular rivalry against the spread, covering in 4 of their last 5 meetings with the Raiders in Los Angeles. This historical strength, combined with the fact that their star quarterback and key players are rested, positions them perfectly to exploit the Raiders' most critical weakness, a failing offensive line. The Chargers possess a capable defense and a high-powered offense ready to capitalize on a compromised opponent. Given the Chargers' overwhelming historical dominance in this matchup, the advantage of the bye week, and the catastrophic recent offensive struggles of the Raiders, the large line is simply not enough to contain the expected outcome. We are getting locked and loaded with the Chargers to cover. Please remember to comment your favorite picks of the week. It helps our channel a bunch. Thank you. Our last game to break down is the Sunday Night Football matchup featuring the surging Denver Broncos, who travel to Landover, Maryland to face the reeling Washington Commanders. The Denver Broncos enter Week 13 riding an undeniable wave of momentum, having successfully navigated an impressive 8-game winning streak before their recent bye week. This team is built on a foundation of an elite defense that stifles opponents, ranking 3rd in the league in points allowed per game. Though they may be traveling without their star cornerback, the Broncos are ready to unleash their relentless pass rush against an unstable offense. Quarterback Bo Nix has been an unflappable leader, guiding the team to critical late-game victories, including a clutch performance against the Chiefs in their last outing. The Broncos are rested, confident, and look poised to continue their winning ways. Conversely, the Washington Commanders are in the midst of a catastrophic collapse, suffering 6 consecutive losses while dealing with an alarming injury report. Their offense is severely depleted, with the availability of starting quarterback Jaden Daniels and star wide receiver Terry McLaurin shrouded in uncertainty following injuries sustained before the bye week. The Commanders' defense has failed to hold up its end, giving up over 32 points per game in their recent losses. Although Washington has historically been a surprisingly tough opponent for Denver against the spread, the sheer current disparity in team health and performance trajectory makes trusting that history impossible. This contest is a clash of 2 teams heading in dramatically opposite directions. The Broncos' dominant, league-leading defense is set to face a severely compromised Commanders' offense, likely led by a backup quarterback and missing key weapons. While laying 5.5 points on the road is never easy, the Broncos' superiority in every statistical category, coupled with the Commanders' ongoing injury crisis and losing streak, seems to seal the outcome. We are getting locked and loaded with the Broncos to cover. That wraps up another breakdown here on Locked and Loaded Sports. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the latest sports analysis and betting insights. More picks, more locks, and more action is coming your way. That's all for now. Stay sharp, stay ready, and get locked and loaded. Conversely, the Washington Commanders are in the midst of a catastrophic collapse, suffering 6 consecutive losses while dealing with an alarming injury report. Their offense is severely depleted, with the availability of starting quarterback Jaden Daniels and star wide receiver Terry McLaurin shrouded in uncertainty following injuries sustained before the bye week. The Commanders' defense has failed to hold up its end, giving up over 32 points per game in their recent losses. Although Washington has historically been a surprisingly tough opponent for Denver against the spread, the sheer current disparity in team health and performance trajectory makes trusting that history impossible. This contest is a clash of 2 teams heading in dramatically opposite directions. The Broncos' dominant, league-leading defense is set to face a severely compromised Commanders' offense, likely led by a backup quarterback and missing key weapons. While laying 5.5 points on the road is never easy, the Broncos' superiority in every statistical category, coupled with the Commanders' ongoing injury crisis and losing streak, seems to seal the outcome. We are getting locked and loaded with the Broncos to cover. That wraps up another breakdown here on Locked and Loaded Sports. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the latest sports analysis and betting insights. More picks, more locks, and more action is coming your way. That's all for now. Stay sharp, stay ready, and get locked and loaded.